The roots: I'll be 30 next month, married 8 years in June with a total of 11 years together, and we have one 7-year-old together. My entire relationship had been pretty beautiful up until about year 3 of marriage. We started young, obviously still trying to figure out who we are as adults, and God knows people change. The stress really started when I joined the active military in 2013. The military weighs heavy on families for many reasons, but we never had issues with being apart. Living together in Germany took us away from outlets commonly used to help push through marital issues. Those outlets being family. I think that hurt us quite a bit. It was hard to be on the same page all of the time. I would commonly come home frustrated because she had done nothing in the house. This had been and really still is a huge problem I have with her. She doesn't cook, clean, pay bills, track our budget, handle our child's medical appointments, school meetings or registrations, grocery shop, etc. When she wanted to go to college again, I had to apply to the school for her, request her transcripts to be sent over, fill out her paperwork. Literally everything. She really only takes care of the occasional mopping and dishes, and it doesn't go beyond that. She is, however, a pretty great mom to our child. It frustrates me though to be the one to make the menu, grocery shop, cook the food, fix the dishwasher, and then also do the dishes before the grass needs cut. I feel like I take care of both roles in our relationship, and it's really always been that way, but it's something I knew about her going into the relationship, so I have a hard time faulting her for it. She tells me that the amount of things I do makes her feel pressure to do more, but I'm not doing anything that doesn't need done in a family, or life in general. Now let's get to the part that really messes with me. In 2017, we had made a plan to send her home from Germany about 5 months ahead of me so she could purchase our stateside home, get a job, and get my daughter in school while I finished my military contract. This was the end of the army and the next chapter in our life was starting. We were both so excited. Within a month or two, she had gotten a job and finalized on our home. Shortly after, I noticed our conversations were getting shorter and shorter, and then a couple of days in between conversations. It felt off, to say the least. On my birthday, I had gotten a happy birthday text which felt like it came from a distant friend. The next day, I had asked her what was going on between us, and she instantly went for the divorce text. She said that she didn't know if it was too much time apart or what, but she didn't love me and couldn't stay married to me. She told me I could have the house, the property, the money, and would not pursue child support. She said she didn't want to hurt me any more than she had. I was confused by that and called my mom, who said that there was someone else involved. I agreed with that because we had been apart multiple times during my service, and this was our last time being away from each other. It didn't add up. As the days went on, I was trying more and more to reel her back in, writing her letters and texts professing my love and asking what had changed. Most of that she ignored. She did make sure to let me know she felt like it was probably because of this one time she heard me and my friends outside talking about our frustrations with our wives. We didn't say anything we didn't mean, but I get why she was upset about it. But to use that as an excuse 2 years later, it didn't make sense to me. Well, she had eventually reached out to me stating she needed our medical insurance information because she had to go to the ER for vaginal issues, which she claimed to be possibly yeast infection or UTI. I got the medical records after her visit and noticed she was given both a pregnancy and an STD test. I asked her about it in a text and it was again ignored. The divorce was moving forward and there was nobody else. It was just because of me, basically. I started reading self-help books and seeing a therapist, trying to figure out how and why I am such a piece of garbage. I would also notice other things like hundreds of dollars being spent at Victoria's Secret and close to 100 at food spots and bars. When I asked her about the charges, she ignored me again, so I turned her debit card off. Of course, she messaged me then, but only to let me know I need to stop acting like I own her. Finally, I had had enough about 1 month before coming home, and I gave in to the divorce. I told her that whatever was going on, she allowed that to get in between our relationship and that she would one day regret that. I told her that I would be civil, but we are not friends and I do not wish to continue speaking to her outside of official divorce business. Shockingly, she replied stating she regretted it already. She then spilled the beans, or so I thought. She claimed she went out to a bar with her new boss and that she had gotten drunk and went back to his place, and despite saying no to him, they still had slept together. She said she knew I wouldn't stay with her after that, so what had been done was done. The ER visit was because he gave her an STD. She said it was a one-time thing. That was not true. It eventually came out that she carried on the relationship the entire time. She was telling me it was my fault we were divorcing and that there was nobody else. She moved him into my new home, had him around my child, even changing her diapers at the time. It shouldn't matter, but she was 23 and he was a 2-time divorcee with 4 children and 38 years old. Like, why? Anyways, I told her I still wanted to stay with her after that, and she said she would quit her job and cut off this guy off June 1st, and I come home June 30th. She was hesitant to actually stay together because she said she didn't want me to feel like I could get payback on her, and she didn't want me to be reminding her all the time of the mistakes she made. We proceeded to stay together anyways after much convincing on my part. Everything I found out after I got home I had to dig for. Turns out she kept seeing this man all the way up until the night before I flew in. I found pictures of her and his family at a theme park the week before I came home. I found love letters in my house between the two of them. I found condoms in the furniture. Some of his things were still at my house when I got there. For some reason I looked past all of that and continued trying to make things work. She never gave me the full truth, and I am fully confident in that. We never sought therapy for it either. In fact, she added fuel to the fire when she decided it would be a good idea to compare me to him, saying things like, well, he would grab my butt when I'm cooking and I like that. First of all, you don't cook. Secondly, why are you trying to make me feel like I need to be the guy you cheated on me with? She cried and cried and cried and said this was the biggest mistake of her life and that she would never do that again no matter what. A 3-month physical relationship where you moved him into my new home was a mistake. How? So it's been 4 years since that happened and things have gotten better on the outside, but I never felt healed on the inside. I felt like we just put it in 4-wheel drive and ran past the situation as quickly as we could. I know she doesn't respect my pain. She went to Vegas last year for a bachelor party and would only text me good morning and then not hear from her the rest of the day. When I questioned her on that, she said she thought our relationship was different now and then claimed they pretty much just slept and stayed in the hotel. Okay, we do get along for the most part, but the smallest problems get magnified into all-out fights where we are instantly against each other instead of with each other working against a problem. When things are good, they are good, but when they are bad, they are just that. So here's my question. For the past 2 or 3 months I have felt strongly about leaving her. I've spoken in secret to my family about it, sought lawyers, therapy again, and now I'm here. I feel like if I divorce her now I will be failing her. I feel like she is happy in the marriage and that I would be the jerk to pull the carpet out from under her. I also feel like what if I regret leaving her? Like a be careful what you wish for thing. Where do I go from here? Should I keep trying to work this out with her or just leave? We have talked about counseling before, but it never happens. When we fight I can't get my words across to her. She flips everything on me and makes me feel like I'm crazy, causing problems for no reason, so I almost feel like talking is gonna be useless unless maybe saying I want a divorce will make her open her ears and eyes, but I don't know. I would let her go. She sounds quite useless, like a child who never grew up. What she actually needs is to live on her own and have to support herself and take care of everything herself and grow up. But this is who she is, a lazy wife and a cheater. Was she promiscuous before you married her? She was not, to my knowledge. Puppy love phase, we were young and life hadn't really hit us yet as far as adult responsibilities, so it was all love and fun. She was a Christian, straight-edge virgin when we met, but that was probably a lie, to be honest. I'm concerned about what she wants, I think, because I love her, or had love for her. And I think I grabbed for what we once had, wanting it back, but she has changed and the damage is heavy. I reached out to an attorney and have an appointment early next week. She more than likely will try to say that she can change or that we can talk about it, but what I really expect is for her to 1. Blame me for not bringing up how I was feeling, and 2. Cry and say how it was such a mistake and she wishes she could take it back and that she's such a crappy person, blah blah blah. She's done this before, and then I feel guilty for even bringing it up. I didn't even think about getting the documents out of reach. Great advice. As far as who knows, that's another thing she just can't tell the truth about. I had asked her who all knew, so I could know who I was and wasn't going to be looking like a clown in front. And she said her mom had a hunch and said, I know what you're doing with your boss, but said she never told her anything about it. Sounds like a very specific hunch. She also mentioned that when she told her mom about me coming home, her mom said, oh, you guys are gonna work it out. And so she said she's not sure how much she knows. But that was the only person. I like to think that maybe she isn't proud of it and wouldn't want to share that, but who knows really. I think it would be a good idea for me to have everything I want to say written down so I don't forget what I want to say and can take the time to choose my words carefully and be fully honest with her and myself. I didn't really know what I was forgiving. All I was focused on was getting my wife, family back, and it didn't seem to matter what she had done. I just snapped to forgiving instantly. The paycheck thing is spot on. I often feel like we are just roommates. It's like, what's the point of this? I've asked her a couple of times if when she pictures the perfect marriage, is this what she imagines? And she says yes, and then says that makes her feel like I'm saying something isn't perfect, which I guess is a reasonable thought. Anyways, that makes me feel guilty, like dang, I'm the only one who seems to have a problem here, and then I feel screwed up. But there is no way on earth she thinks this is the perfect marriage. I do not plan to rush into another relationship. I know that I need to spend a lot of time figuring out who I am as an individual and to heal from this. Yesterday I called and made an appointment to speak with an attorney, which will be next Tuesday. If I may, I'd like to continue asking for help in this situation. I am struggling, and have been even before coming to this forum, with feeling like I am taking the wrong approach. I change emotions throughout the entire day, going back and forth between feeling like the only thing I want to do is pack up and leave, and then all the way to the other extreme where I convince myself that this isn't as bad as it seems and that there is something more I can do. I keep telling myself that maybe I should try to bring up the situation directly and let her know how I am feeling and have been feeling about this situation to see if it can be fixed. I also convince myself that maybe I'm not as miserable as I tell myself, and that maybe the cheating has nothing to do with it, although it clearly does. I'm my own worst enemy. I will say that the positive thoughts that I can keep this thing afloat come most often when it's just me and her and when things are fine. It's like I said, we do get along for the most part. Stuff just hits the fan when a small problem arises and we communicate like two dead phones. Then I talk to my family or come on here or even think about my life with her, and I want nothing more than to divorce her. I don't want to seem like an idiot here. I am just wanting to see if anyone can speak to this roller coaster of emotions. For the most part, when I picture the perfect situation, we can divorce civilly and remain friends in the sense where we can communicate about my child's life and be around each other at her school and sporting events. I don't want to text her and go do things that friends typically do, but I would like to stay friends in some capacity or another. I am honestly unsure if she has any psychological disorders, but she does at least seem pretty level-headed when it comes to her moods and such. She doesn't seem to swing from one mood to another. I could speculate all day as to why she is the way that she is, but I truly will never know. For what it's worth, my speculation is that she is who she is because of her upbringing. She was raised by a single, young mother with the help of grandmas and aunts. Her dad has been in and out of prison her entire life. She was never made to do anything. Her mom wasn't her mom, that was her friend. Her mom took care of absolutely anything and everything for her. When I got with her, she was 17, and I feel like I took on the parental responsibilities of her mother under the ruse that it was an adult relationship. She never had to become an adult. She never had to handle anything on her own. Life is a big game to her. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm very, very humble, and I realize that people take different paths in life, but let me say this. When we got together, we were on the same playing field. Young, broke, working in a grocery store. I have since become a veteran. I have 3 college degrees and work in a fantastic federal position. She never left the first rung of life's ladder. She has 0 education and makes nachos at a local fast food spot. That's not because my lack of support in her advancement, and that's not because of her holding the house down while I succeeded. It's pure laziness and lack of desire to advance in life. She's stuck in late teenager mode. Get taken care of, work a non-serious job, make it look like it's a team effort of success. It's not. She's an anchor in my life, then decides I'm not good enough and steps out on me. She claims she was so happy with this guy she was with that she cheated with. Well, why come back to me then? Here's my guess. Everything I mentioned about me above versus the guy she was with was a manager at a food place living in a poopy apartment. She followed the money. Update for whomever is still keeping up. I'm halfway through the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, and it's been extremely helpful. I have my first consultation with an attorney tomorrow, and I'm hoping it all goes well. I'm shooting for an uncontested divorce based on irreconcilable differences. I would prefer not to drag her name through the mud and bring out the history of our marriage in front of a judge, but I will if I have to. I'm going to propose 50-50 on everything. Property, she'll actually get majority, money, legal and physical custody, no child support from either parent, or I will pursue full custody, and I'm going to propose that we move forward with selling the home and splitting the equity 50-50. We had already been working with a realty company when we wanted to sell our home and purchase another, but that plan halted. Thank goodness, about a month ago, but luckily the house is still ready to sell. Crappy part will be still being in the home together while it sells. I am not leaving the home before it sells. I started running a budget as if I'm a single parent, and financially I'm looking like I'm going to be okay. I found an apartment complex I want to move into upon divorce that will keep my child in her school district. Struggling with the idea of moving from my own home to a rented apartment, but hey, that's life, I guess. It'll be nice living in a place another man hasn't banged my wife in. I'm getting overwhelmed with the desire to leave at this point, and it's thanks to y'all and my family. It's all I can think about, and I'm struggling to not show it to her this soon. I can't even sit and talk to her without getting irritated listening to her BS. I just want to tell her now, but I'm going to wait. She keeps pulling more and more BS though, but I'll save y'all the drama of it. Just makes me more and more done as each day passes. She just mentioned she was considering getting a quarter-sleeve tattoo with our wedding flowers. That super confused me because I know I'm not the only one who feels the rocks at the feet of our marriage. We are hanging by a thread, and she knows that. So I wasn't sure if she said that to feel me out or if she is legitimately that blind to my unhappiness in the marriage. I'm excited to finally have my life back. When this happened, I virtually cut my family off completely. My STBX said it was embarrassing and came out with all of these other excuses, like saying my mom and sister already didn't like her and now after the affair she couldn't face them anymore. Has even flipped the entire story to where she isn't invited to my family's house and isn't liked by my family. Most of that is true, but it's because of what she did and how she handled it, not because they suck as family. So needless to say, I'm pumped to finally reconnect with my mom and sister and brother after 4 years of having to plan to see them based around when my STBX would and wouldn't be home. I'm kinda rambling at this point, so I'll end it here. Lots of emotion, sorry. A very sad update for me. I did speak to an attorney last week, and after a lengthy conversation he suggested I write down all of my feelings and present them to my wife and request MC. He said if it doesn't go well then state I would be filing either for dissolution or separation. I spent the next few days really wondering if this is what I want and if I'm trying hard enough. I thought maybe I could change some things here or there and really express my love for her and desire to repair the things I feel are broken despite the constant telling me that everything is perfect when they are clearly not. I had spent months and months suspicious of her moves and thinking I was a psycho for creating problems out of nothing. I thought I was wrong to be concerned over her changing her style, getting a nose ring, going from drinking once a month to 4 to 5 times a week, tanning, going outside to sit in the sun for 2 or more hours, taking 45-minute bathroom breaks, not going to bed with me anymore because I'm asleep anyway, but coming to bed at 2:30 a.m. when I'm getting up for work. It was all so suspicious, but she was so good at making me seem like a crazy person. As I sat down to begin writing out my feelings, something told me to check her laptop, which I have never done. I obviously first noticed her laptop password had been changed. I was able to figure it out anyway. We have Apple products, so her texts were synced with her laptop. She's been carrying on multiple online affairs with other married men whom she met through the online phone game where you play short first-person shooter matches with random people that you can talk to through your mic. This is a game we downloaded and enjoyed together. Turns out all of this sneaky stuff was happening because she was talking to other guys. She didn't have their numbers saved and had them checked as do not disturb so they wouldn't pop up when I'm around her. I didn't see anything too crazy, but the conversations are inappropriate, and she's the aggressor. She sends them pictures of herself with makeup done and new outfits with her cleavage showing. Things she never does for me. I'm lucky if she brushes her hair or changes out of her clothes. The man said that her sending pictures was risky and she said it's a risk she's willing to take. He then asked what other risks she's willing to take. They even talk about me a lot. She sent him a photo of me and my daughter and he sent her one of his wife and their daughter. Why? It's so sick. Another message she had was from a woman who stated that my wife had been talking to her husband and that she found the messages in his Tinder and Snapchat. My wife replied claiming they've never spoken inappropriately, and it was only ever about the game. Who knows how many times she's done this or if she's met up with someone, and I don't honestly want to know. This could all be online fantasy, but it's adultery yet again. It's at least 3 married men she's talking to. One had even said he's married but gets lonely and meets new people as he travels for work and asked where she's from. From what I've seen, it isn't overly bad yet, but it's leading to that and enough for me to know the cheating probably never stopped. Although I didn't realize it at the time, I had my first panic attack when I saw the messages. I couldn't breathe. I was seeing stars. My hands went pale. I thought I was going to need an ambulance. I chilled out after speaking to my mother on the phone, and her and my sister came over and got my weapons from me. I called my wife while she was at work and told her I am quite calm right now, but I need her to know that I know everything and that I would not keep her from coming home, but I do not want her in the bedroom with me, and I said we would talk about next steps in the coming days. She had the most defeated sounding okay response and I hung up. I noticed that night she got home she sent one of the guys a text saying, "Sorry, I was at work, missed your text, good night." That's not terrible, but why do that when you just got caught? She's still actively playing, or at least logging into the game. She then sent me a text late last night reading this. I know it's too late and I know there is nothing I can say at this point to mend what I have broken, but I am sorry. I'm sorry for hurting you so many times. I'm sorry for not appreciating you and us. I'm sorry for being the worst human. I have no idea why I did what I did, and I think that makes it worse. I'm sorry for ruining the best thing in my life and for ruining my child life as well. So many selfish decisions that I cannot explain, and I'm just sorry. You deserve so much better, and I'm at least happy that you might finally have a chance to be with someone who you truly deserve. I don't expect or want a response to this, but I couldn't leave this marriage without at least saying those things. I'm sorry. How dare she? How can she be so cruel to me to pretend she made another mistake and ruined our marriage that she claimed was the best thing in my life? Why toy with my heart? Just let me go. It's so unreal. I'm going through a scary cycle of emotions. I did, however, return to the lawyer yesterday, paid him his retainer fee, and I finished all the paperwork this morning. I'll be returning that to them this afternoon and staying in a hotel tonight as she is off of work. I will not be speaking to her until she has been served, which should be early next week. Let's see if she's so apologetic and nice once she has the papers in her hands. Life sucks right now. 2 months later. Here's my update. I sat down one night and tried to talk to my STD ex about the situation. It was 8 straight hours of conversation and tears. Before I get to that, I guess I should dive a little more into what I had found on her phone most recently, as mentioned previous in this thread. The guys she was talking to dated back to December of last year. She was talking to 4 guys and they were all online friends that she became friends with. She was having personal text conversations with all of them and had all of them checked as do not disturb. I assume that even though most of the messages were friendly, she was deleting them because she knew that we had boundaries in our relationship that did not allow us to do that type of stuff. I didn't set that boundary out of control. She said it years ago and we both stuck by it. Most of the texts with the other guys were just basic getting to know them and talking about the game that they play together. One guy did mention that he likes to meet new people when he travels around, which I know was his attempt to start that process of meeting her, but I will give her the fact that she didn't entertain him when he said that. The one person she was texting that I can't seem to let go, yet can't convince myself was cheating, is the one she was having with a guy named Chris. Again, his was basic talk about each other and even their families, but with him I could tell it was more than what it was with the other guys. She was sharing short videos with him, asking about this work day, sending him photos of her dolled up in makeup. He had asked where her husband was and he said what she was doing was risky, and she did say this is a risk I'm willing to take, and then he asked what other risks she was willing to take. From what I read, she didn't touch on that she just promised to not send him any more pictures so his wife would not get mad. He then told her he was getting in the shower and not to text after her next reply. I assume that is because he would be around his wife and he was also hiding the relationship. His wife did indeed know about my wife, which was a sticking point for my STBX to say it truly was innocent, and she knew about her. She knew about my STBX because she was sending her free rewards points from her job, but that doesn't mean she knew what was taking place in those text messages, because what wife would be? I also can't get over the fact that she was not coming to bed with me for those couple of weeks, and when I lightheartedly mentioned that I know she's been going to bed at 2 to 3 a.m. because she wakes me up every time and that she should just go to bed with me, she claimed that I am asleep when she is done with her teeth, and that isn't true, and if it was, to me, that should not matter. The truth was she was waiting until I went to bed so she could stay up and text and play games with Chris. I feel stupid, but is this cheating? Is this really that bad? I mean, it was sneaky and wrong, but was it cheating? It also annoys me that I spent so much time crying to her that she was my person and that something was off, and for her to claim it was all good meanwhile she was entertaining other men, even in a friendly capacity, just hurts me. Once she gets caught, all of a sudden she regrets that and did it because she didn't feel like I make her a priority, but she knows that we belong together and she would do anything to make this work. That toys with me because when she cheated physically she used that same excuse. Not happy in the marriage and regrets what she did and wishes she could take it back. How do you realize this 2 different times? She is holding on to the fact that her relationship with Chris was purely friends and her only fault was hiding it. I just don't know that I agree. When we sat down to talk, I had pre-warned her that this was make or break us. We were going to go through some hard truths, but if we had anything left to save, the truth would need to come out. We went over the cheating thing from 2017 again, and I found out that she didn't just keep the relationship going because she got an STD. She admitted that she kept sleeping with him and then later found out he gave her an STD and still kept sleeping with him, and everything else that took place during that time. I also found out that Father's Day of 2017 when she refused to answer my phone calls so I could speak to my child because it was just too hard, but the truth was she was spending Father's Day with the other man. Lastly, she admitted that she not only saw him the night before I came home, she saw him one more time after because she said he just would not leave her alone, so she met him to tell him in person that she is working on her marriage and that this is over. She claims it was one time and nothing physical happened. Moving on to the conversations with the guys on games. I don't need to get into too much detail on this, but basically when questioning her she said it all started in March. I asked her why someone else's wife messaged her in February saying she was talking to that woman's husband, and then my STBX just stared at me for a minute, and then said, okay, I'm lying, yes, there was one more guy and it started in December. I couldn't see those messages, so I asked her how bad they were and she claims not at all, just friends. Which is what she told that man's wife as well. I did at least see that. But how can I believe that? How can we be sitting here in a make or break conversation and you still lie to me? Maybe because she really did regret it but was scared it would too much to forgive. I do not know, but I am so hurt that she would say that she just didn't feel loved and prioritized. And when I asked for marriage coaching and when I was pleading for change, she just said we are fine. We are fine, and yet we weren't. Now that she got caught, she wanted to go to coaching again and said that we are each other's people and that we can get through this. She said she can't promise it would never happen again, but she knows that if we loved each other in the way that we should, then she wouldn't do it again. I feel like she's just telling me, yeah, I'm going to do it again. Then when I moved past the cheating and went to the other frustrations like tracking our budget, I said if you don't want to track the budget, I will compromise and just have weekly sit-downs to discuss our expenses and goals and spending, to which she said she does not want to feel like she is being questioned for her purchases. So she will not get on and track our budget, but also does not want to feel like she is being questioned on purchases, and I just don't get how that is fair to me. She is basically saying you are going to love me more, and in exchange I will stay who I am, but I won't, or I might, not cheat again. Anyways, we went to marriage coaching and I was paying $150 to see him. He said that we would eventually talk about trauma healing, but for now we won't. His plan that was we were going to focus on love and attention, and that was it. We were not allowed to fight or bicker or let anything stressful put us against each other. We were to plan dates for each other and give gifts each week. At first, it was amazing. We were talking, cuddling, going to bed together, going on dates, giving gifts, and having a lot of bonding. It felt like love. The problem is, though, that I was still dealing with my daily frustrations of feeling like I am not really being helped, and yet I could not talk about it. I will say that she was doing a ton of stuff when we first started going to coaching. Picking up sticks, dog poop, organizing, etc. It was great, but that slowly trickled back down to just dishes and making the bed and my daughter's laundry. Everything else was on me. I also had the feeling that I am still not healing. I think my marriage coach forgot that she even had an affair. I felt like I was the one who needed to be fixed in order to not be cheated on. It made me feel like this was my fault, and that made it super hard for me to keep trying to love her right. Slowly I stopped calling her after work, I stopped touching her as much, and I stopped giving her gifts and planning dates. I feel really terrible for failing to keep up on my end, but for whatever reason I couldn't bring myself to keep doing it. So, last week I met with my sister and told her everything. I texted her when I got home and thanked her for our talk and relationship and said I had the confidence to tell my STD ex that this was finally over. My comment: her very nature is rooted in dishonesty. She will not accept accountability. Furthermore, the dishonesty is not only to you, but to herself. You should be done with her, brother.